that the city put out a bid for municipal, residential only, municipal trash. And, capital letters, all, and the creation of a workforce paid for by Friendly Waste Management, or whoever got the bid, that became the litter patrol, for lack of a better word, that would clean up the city, pick up. Well, I can tell you, we have a volunteer day, an Earth Day, every Earth Day, 22nd, or the Saturday closest to it. Love to see any of you attend that next year. And you. And in one day with little Girl Scouts and little Boy Scouts, we covered the city and we picked up this year didn't go very well, but and on good years we picked up 150 bags of litter, just walking the right-of-ways. So if I hired, in partnership, so to speak, with the city, 8 guys, it's not going to take us very long to pick up all the litter in the city. If you got 8 good workers, and I said guys, no offense ladies, 8 employees, would not take long to clean up the city of litter, which then frees those guys up for me to work in conjunction with the city attacking bad properties. I don't know how you incorporate that into the we write a citation, and if my guys have to go and clean it up, that's the bill that has to be paid. That part we didn't work out. Then once we get all, they'd be available for any project, but it sounds to me like the most pressing would be cleaning up properties that are in bad shape. Again, don't know the legality of that. I don't know if you can put out a bid that specific, because that pretty much is going to limit it to us accepting it, because I don't think any of the other carriers would be interested in hiring 8 people that can clean our city. But it's at no cost to the city. It's cost to the it's cost to the citizens. The people that are concerned about Kennett and want it to look better would gladly pay an extra $8 or $10 a month. And that would include making the people pay for it who are the ones leaving the trash in the first place. So that's an idea that you can float. You can float. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Nolan Glover. I'm in Ward 5. I don't know much about hauling trash. I've done a lot of picking up of trash, but one thing I've been thinking about might be a solution. I know there's a lot of carriers that are making money, and hate to cut out the competition. I think that would make it cheaper. But one thing I could think of that might make it fair to all the carriers, we've got 5 wards. Maybe each carrier could take care of a ward for a year, and then maybe at the end of the year switch it around to the next one, because I'm sure some wards are not as large and not as much money to be made. But that way the city could collect the money from each of the residents and then pay the different carriers in the different wards. That way people wouldn't lose their income that are hauling the trash. So there's, plus, if one should have some difficulty in their ward, trucks break down, you'd still have others that could maybe take up the slack if you're paying them to take up the slack until that other carrier gets back on its feet or something. But that could be, one way to solve it. But I know there's a lot of other things involved in it, so that's all I can think of to say right now. So.
It would also save gas money, because the trash services would be going into
one
one ward
Yeah.
instead of throughout the city.
That would help
positive
save gas. You don't have to look all over the city for your people. You just do that ward, and the city can tell you which ward to do and everything.
It would also save our streets.
Do I?
It would also save our streets by not having, such heavy vehicles on them. multiple times.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Good evening,
Good evening.
members of the City Council, Mayor Wayne.
How are you doing today, Mr. Carl?
My name is Carl Williams. I don't hold any office or don't have a job as that goes. I'm aware of the problem Kennet has with trash and do not have a solution. Just a couple of suggestions. If the council does vote to enter into a contract with one hauler and give them exclusive rights to pick up trash, I sincerely hope a due consideration will be given to local haulers. And I suggest a one-year trial contract if, after a year, things are working and everybody's happy, a new contract could be drawn up or the old one renewed. As far as adding trash pickup to the utility bills, there's some problems to be solved. It says who gets the bill? Landlord or tenant? No, well, I think it should be the tenant. Or if they don't pay their bill, what will be the fine or punishment? What about people who won't even have their trash picked up? There are many questions to be answered. Kent tries to shed its nickname, Trashy Town. Our leaders must make good decisions, decisions which are community driven and community favorable. I have a little more to say, but I don't think additional time will be as easy to get here as it was in Jefferson City. Good, Mayor?
Yep.
That's all I have to say here. I thank you for your kind attention and the job that you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Ball.
Good afternoon, Frank Crafton, Ward 3. I got a few suggestions, mainly for the companies that's going to be doing the hauling for us. Number one, I ran trucks for 40 years. I believe in a demanding job like these guys have got, one of the worst jobs there is, that the equipment has got to be there. You need to update your equipment. You need to, the city should have specs on the equipment. 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old. I know the equipment is extremely expensive, but number one, you get good equipment out there, good personnel, dress them in proper uniforms, clean them up, clean the whole thing up. The city will see that. If you take that initiative, I think it'll help a whole lot. But the older trucks that we see on the roads, with every company in town working, I think we're getting the end of the stick right there for that. And one more thing for the companies themselves, on the trucks, when they push that last load to pack it all the way up, there's a big void there. And I live out on edge of town. By the time they get 45 miles an hour, that loose stuff they throwed in that void is all over the right of way out there. I know that for a fact. But the main thing is we get the equipment updated and get some these guys, you know, put shirts on, names made on the company, and make it look a whole lot better out there, and it make everyone else start to work harder. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to talk?
Roger Wheeler, Ward 4. I speak in support of you concerning the streets. We have multiple vehicles run up and down our streets every day when they're picking up trash, and they're oversized. And a lot of our street damage, which I know Mr. Westfield would appreciate, that is caused by this heavy equipment. Any way you look at it, our streets are not made for heavy equipment. And they spend thousands of dollars every year repairing here, there, whatever. Most recently, last year, a few spots on my street. But if you narrow it down to a single provider, at least you eliminate a lot of the traffic on any given street in town. Now, whether you do it by wards, as was suggested, one here, one there, one there, or as a single provider for the whole city, you're gonna minimize the amount of street damage that takes place in this town. And that, I know I can speak for Mr. Carter, who was our street commissioner for many years, and he will probably verify that, and is probable cause for all of our street damage, or a lot of our street damage. So, if the only other question I have is, would this have to go to a referendum vote if it took place, or would it be strictly a decision of the council?
Decision of the council.
Okay, so, I just wasn't sure about that issue there. A lot of individuals would, have a negative opinion about it, and probably because they have issues with getting their own trash hauled, or cleaning up their own property, or whatever else. So it's a hard thing to deal with, but mainly I speak on behalf of the street commissioner here and the mayor to minimize the damage to our streets.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.